Hi, Karina.
Morning.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Hi, Karina.
Morning.
Hi, Karina.
She's
Good morning.
I'm just messing with you.
Am I on mute?
No.
No.
But you are live.
All right, what time is it right now? Give it a minute. CBS 13 is still trying to get in. Do we have everybody? Let's see, just Lisa is still out there. Okay.
I just texted her.
Oh, okay.
We have a couple members of the press that have registered that also aren't on just yet, so
Oh,
let's
okay.
give them just a second.
Can I say one other thing before we go? One of the ideas we're open to, because this is going to come up, is in-person learning and with appropriate distancing, et cetera. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page there. Not all this is going to be distance enrichment. Okay.
We'll just do it at your house.
My backyard, it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Beautiful, shady.
It is.
All right. All right, let me know, Andrew, when it looks like people are in.
Is Lisa Morowski here too or not?
She's trying to get in right now.
Okay.
Channel 13 is waiting to hear back, Andrew, from, I guess, registering. I'm having someone do it from the newsroom.
It should be automatic. It'll put them in. I don't have to approve anything.
Okay.
All right, the YouTube link is live on the blog now, so that's all fixed up.
Hi, Lisa.
Morning.
Lisa.
Oh,
Hi.
good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mayor Steinberg.
Tell us when.
Yeah, I'm just, Channel 13 is still trying to get in. And Andrew, who all's in over there?
We have Andrew Clausen, Miguel, Sarah, Sawsan, and Allison Joe from Councilmember Scheniner's office is in the.
Okay, yeah, well, let's get going. And they should be able to get in. If not, they can
Andrew
watch.
Clausen is here. Yeah, he's on.
So yeah, everybody, if we can kind of keep our comments to under 2 minutes or so, that way we can not overwhelm the assembled press corps. Okay. All right. So let's, Mayor, why don't you kick it off and MC it from there, if you could.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us on Tuesday morning after a long weekend. I'm joined by my city council colleagues, Councilmember Jay Schenirer and Councilmember Eric Guerra. I'm also joined by Sacramento City Unified School Board President Jesse Ryan, School Board Member Lisa Morowski, and County Board of Education Trustee Karina Talamantes. I want to thank you all for joining us for a very exciting announcement today. COVID-19 has obviously taken a huge toll on young people. Distance learning is really a good effort, but the truth is, many kids, especially kids who are already behind, will not have had regular schooling, in-person schooling for 6 months unless we choose to intervene. And so today we want to announce that the City of Sacramento, together with its education partners and our community-based organizations, we intend to make this a summer for and about Sacramento's youth. Here is our opportunity. Not only do we have federal stimulus funds, and as you know, we broke down into 4 buckets of $20 million apiece, including $20 million for workforce development. That leaves, if you will, an extra $9 million that we can spend for immediate and urgent needs, even outside the buckets. And then the city, its regular rec programs, over the summer, we budget at about $6.2 million. We believe because of the changing nature of what summer rec programs will be like and youth programs, we will only need about 1.5 million. That'll free up over $4 million combined. We have a significant amount of money to begin by investing in at least 6 weeks of intensive academic and life skills enrichment for thousands of Sacramento students in different grade levels who are identified most at risk and most at risk of falling behind. And that will leave us plenty of resources after those 6 weeks to be able to invest in year-round learning. And so we intend to take the first action today at the City Council by voting on at least the first million, and we might seek to up that in the discussion today. But certainly the city is going to be in for and among our youth to the tune of millions of dollars, because it's the right thing to do. Our youth deserve it. This will be the summer and the year for and about young people. Let me turn it over to Councilmember Schenirer.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with everything you said. We have a huge opportunity here as the council has been looking more towards how we support our young people over the last couple of years. Here's an opportunity to really help those and bridge the gap that's been caused by COVID-19, but also thinking about what we need in our communities and following through on a lot of the commitments we've made. I'm really excited to be working with our school districts, and we hope we can work with all school districts in the city to create long-term partnerships that really support our young people in their ability to be successful in school and career and in life. We know, as you said, that so many young people, those most at risk, are falling further behind. And it really is our responsibility to do everything we can to make that up, to make sure that they're successful. We have a number of things going on, and I just want to separate short-term versus kind of medium-term on this. And there are a lot of documents that are part of our agenda packet for tonight. One is a framework that we can use as we make decisions. We could easily spend $500 million walking out the door tomorrow. But what we need to do is make some very tough decisions about what pays off best, the biggest bang for the buck that we can get, particularly for young people. So we've got a framework in there. We have the two things that we'll be voting on tonight. I hope we do a little more than $1 million, but that will also depend on the partnerships that we have with the school districts, and also a $250,000 job program for young people. We know that they need to earn money as well as get academic enrichment and academics. So that's a piece that will be on tonight. I think our staff has done a good job on that. We'll also be coming back June 9th and doing a joint meeting between the City Council and the Youth Commission to discuss a host of other issues and potential activities that the city could undertake to support our young people between now and the end of the year with stimulus dollars or with other dollars that we might be able to save through some of the efforts that we're making within our own staff. So with that, I'm excited about this. I think it's another kind of piece in the puzzle that the council has done to support our young people. We need to do that. We need to think about the human infrastructure that's going to make us successful over time. Lots of groups are asking for dollars. Lots of groups have gotten hurt by this. I believe that youth has to be at least a priority for us as we move forward. So with that, let me turn it over to my colleague, Eric Guerra.
Thank you very much, Jay. I appreciate you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I think this is a critical time for us to be seriously thinking about not waiting until the fall. We know already that in the normal case, the summertime has been a time when kids can fall behind, where they're impacted because of the infrastructure that's not available from our schools. Our schools do so much for our kids, but now we cannot wait until the fall comes. We have to have something ready for them. And what's more critical here is that many of our community-based organizations have been filling those gaps, and they also have been impacted during this time. So we've also had that immediate impact to them who are filling those needs that we needed to. And we know that some of our kids who are the most disadvantaged, who fall under tough circumstances, many of our undocumented youth and our mixed status families, who, by the way, many of them may have not have received any resources before this, are the ones in critical need as well. These proposals that the city manager and Councilmember Schenirer and the mayor and my colleagues in the education community here all are looking at this in mind, saying we have to put some more pressure on how we help our kids. Number one, looking at employment, not just as much as education, because we know that our high school kids also needed to make sure that they provide some income as well as learning. And so I think the important things that we're going to talk about today is not just the education piece, but also how do we think about this in a new realm to help employ kids, keep them active, help them with this isolation as well, and bring them to a new sense of normalcy, because I know we can do it. I want to close by saying thank you to our education partners, President Ryan, President and School Board Member Morrowski, and Trustee Telemantes, because this is a time where we, as Jay said, have to focus on our kids. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Very, very good. Thank you. Yes, the city is not an island here. We are partners, and hopefully we are a catalyst, both financially and programmatically. But the real responsibility is borne by our school board leadership and our education leadership. And we're here as your partners. School Board President Ryan, please.
Thank you, Mayor Steinberg. I want to begin by thanking Councilmember Schenirer, Councilmember Guerra, and Mayor Steinberg for your continued leadership. But I also want to laud the efforts of your incredibly dedicated team who has been working behind the scenes tirelessly on this proposal. I think that Councilmember Guerra said it beautifully when he talked about schools not just as delivering academics, but as really being safe havens for our students. Our schools are quite often the first responders when our students and families are in crisis. And we know that the coronavirus crisis has been extraordinary and has caused a tremendous amount of trauma for families across the city. Today's investment is an important down payment. And I will say, Mayor Steinberg often says that he wants to be a city that is for and about youth. The investments that we make, including summer learning, will give us the ability to show our students that we're not abandoning them today, but we're making an investment ensuring that they don't experience summer learning loss that will impact them potentially in their future. We're also saying that we know that they will be the future city leaders, and that what we do today to respond to this crisis will have a long-term impact on their future success. I just want to close by saying that this investment that's being proposed in summer learning is absolutely critical, as so many of our low-income students, vulnerable populations, really rely upon our schools for their academics, for their interactions with caring adults. And what we do between now and the fall will in fact ensure that they can hit the ground running when we return to some normalcy. And whether it's distance learning, remote learning, or a hybrid approach, that our students have all the tools they need to be successful, despite the fact that COVID-19 has delayed some of their plans.
Thank you so much, President Ryan. Let me turn it to Lisa Morrowski, the school board member. Welcome to you.
Thank you, Mayor Steinberg. Pleasure to be with you this morning. Lisa Morrowski, school board member for Sac City Unified. And I just want to start by again thanking everyone here on the call today, Mayor Steinberg, Councilmember Schenirer, Councilmember Guerra, for being a part of those conversations that we've been having over the last several weeks about the needs of youth and how we can serve the most vulnerable youth. I want to acknowledge also Ms. Talamantes for being part of those conversations as well, and leading some of the digital equity work going forward. So there's a lot going on. We have been in partnership and deep dialogue over the last several weeks about meeting the needs of youth, public and our nonprofit partners together. So this is a great effort. I do want to thank you on the council for centering the needs of youth in this recovery, and in particular, the mental health needs of youth that we've been hearing are a really dramatic need. And I think this investment will go a long way towards not only meeting the academic needs and the needs for digital connection, but the social, emotional, and mental health needs of youth. Just an example of that, what came out from these partnerships is, the idea for a peer mental health kind of jobs program that you could actually put youth to work, give them a stipend, and have them do peer mental health. It's a win-win across the board and addresses so many of the needs. So that's just an example of what comes out of these partnerships and this dialogue. So, as we invest in our youth, it's not just for them, it's an investment in our shared future, because these are the youth who are going to be writing the software and doing our surgeries. And those are the doors that we need to make sure are open for them. So we stand ready to partner with you and want to thank you again for centering the needs of youth and for these important investments you're proposing. Thank you.
If I may, thank you, Lisa. Before I turn it over to Karina Talamantes, I just want to clarify that in today's proposal, there's an initial $1 million for summer enrichment, which again, we intend to up. There's a separate $250,000 for youth summer jobs, as Councilmember Schenirer mentioned. And then there's a separate $250,000 for mental health, which I think would be a fantastic opportunity, as you say, to provide additional summer jobs to teenagers who undergo the training as first aid mental health workers to be peer support for their friends who are dealing with a lot of stress in this day and age. And so there are multiple opportunities just on today's agenda. And again, it is just a down payment in the beginning of what we intend to do for and with our young people in Sacramento. Karina Talamantes is here not only because she is a countywide trustee and a leader, but also representative of the fact that we're not just talking about the Sac City Unified School District. That is our largest school district, but we're talking about every district within our city. And so Karina, welcome to you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Steinberg. And thank you so much to everyone on this call. You're all leaders when it comes to education and investing in our youth. I just want to say one particular shout out to Councilmember Schenirer and his staff, Allison, and everyone that helped rope in all the conversations. On the first day in March, when we had a conversation about how we're going to focus on our youth, we had 80+ participants join us when the invitation had been sent to a few. And we were astonished, and we were really just proud to see so many people step up and say, hey, how do I help in all regards, from our labor partners, our community-based organizations, our school board trustees. We had various community leaders in these conversations to help shape the proposal that's in front of us today. So I just want to say that, since I was a kid, I've been joining community programs and city-run programs. I used to walk down and enroll myself into soccer with my siblings, and it helped shape who I am today. So I'm just really proud of the city of Sacramento for investing in our youth and committing back to these programs that are going to help our kids, find a way to release all their energy that they have from being cooped up inside and with their siblings. And so I'm really proud of that. And I just want to say that, we need to do the best for our kids. We need to invest in them early, whether it's digital equity, mental health, creating some kind of sports activities, and really just getting creative with the programs that we currently have to help shape the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karina. All right, well, we appreciate everybody.
Mayor, can I clarify something? Because we've thrown around a couple numbers around the summer enrichment program. So we've talked about $1 million, we've talked about $2 million. In the staff report, it says $1 million. These would be matching funds with school districts. I know my goal is to have at least $2 million as a match to get up to $4 million for the number of young people that we need. That'll be a conversation the council will have tonight.
My goal too. I share the goal.
Yep.
That's two votes. Okay.
Eric.
Right. It's all good. But again, it is important. I know it's a little bit in the weeds, but maybe not, what the opportunities are here. We've got 4 pots of $20 million apiece. One of the pots is youth workforce development. And then we've got 9 million beyond the 80 that we put into the category of, quote, early wins, of which $1 million can come from that pot for, again, the 6 weeks of intensive academic enrichment for thousands of Sacramento students. In addition to that, and this is really in the weeds, but I want to try to bring it out of the weeds into life. We budget $6.2 million for this summer for our traditional youth programming. Because of the continued change in the way we interact, the social distancing requirements, our staff is making a recommendation that we only need, quote, $1.5+ million of that money, which means we don't have to eliminate those positions because next summer we want to get back to the way it was. But on a one-time basis, we have an additional $4.5 million that we can put into youth programming, both academic, mental health, enrichment of any kind, not just for the summer, but beyond the summer as well. And that's what I want to see us do. We can serve youth like never before in a variety of ways by appropriately taking advantage of a unique moment, both budget-wise and also the tremendous need that is out there. Let's open it up to the reporters who I'm sure have questions.
So Andrew, who do you have in the queue? You want to moderate that?
Yes, there's nobody in the queue just yet, but I have unmuted all of the reporters' lines here, and they are totally open to unmute themselves and ask questions if they would like to.
And Mr. Mayor, I think it's worth following up. I know there are a number of people have talked about the mental health issues that our young people have from isolation, from everything that's going on. We really need, and I know there's a commitment from our own staff, we need to embed mental health awareness, mental health first aid in everything we do in all of these programs. So working with the school district, it's just a huge opportunity for us, and the peer-to-peer support for young people is where they turn. We know from a survey that 65% of those young people surveyed didn't know who to call if they had a mental health issue. We need to fix that. We need to fix that right now.
Mental health is finally having its day in America and in Sacramento, and it's long past time. Thank you. $250,000 today, and maybe more to come. Thank you, Jay.
All right. Anybody have any questions?
Did I send you guys?
I see
Sawsan, yes, from the Sacramento Bee. Thank you for taking my question. I see that the proposal will go forward for several school districts, I believe 6. Has that proposal been discussed with all these Sacramento school districts? And if so, who has this been discussed with?
I believe it has. Jay, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, sure. So we really started the conversation. I think the conversation started between School Board President Ryan and the mayor, and brought me into it, brought Jorge and others. We asked Jorge to reach out to his colleagues, which I know he has with Natomas and Twin Rivers. We need to continue to reach out to everyone. And again, this is a matching programs. I'm seeing that my staff also reached out and talked to Elk Grove Unified for their schools. So we want to make this citywide. We understand that the foundational aspects of the program could be the same for everyone, but each district will have something different as we go. As the council says to go forward tonight, hopefully, there will be an MOU with each district about how we can work best together, and also with our community-based organizations. That's a requirement in this. We have an opportunity to build really long-term, sustainable relationships between the city, the school districts, and our community-based organizations that are closest to the ground. It's a huge opportunity for us.
And I would just add, Jay, that with each of the school districts that we contacted, there seemed to be an understanding that this summer was going to be critical for our students, and that how we responded was going to set up their success in the fall and beyond. And so they appreciate the partnership with the city. They appreciate the conversations that are happening right now, and have also been very grateful that there is not a one-size-fits-all prescribed summer learning program that is being put out. In fact, these conversations have centered around what are you hearing on the ground? What are your students' needs? And how can we build something that really meets the needs of your students, families, and community?
Other questions?
Hello?
Hi,
Yeah.
Sarah.
Hey, yeah, so I was curious, do you guys have some examples of like some of the programming that you would like to see come from this funding? I know you mentioned both in-person and digital. I'm curious if you could give some potential examples.
Sure. Why don't I turn over to our school board partners, but really what we want to do is we want to identify up to 10,000 or even more students who are most at risk at the various grade cohorts, going in, I believe, the first grade, the third grade, the fifth grade, the ninth grade, and then deeper into high school, and offer those students 6 weeks of intensive academic enrichment, as much in person as possible, as you know, if necessary, by computer as well. Jesse or Karina or Lisa?
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in. And then if my school board colleagues have anything else that they'd like to share, I think we're very mindful of the social distancing protocols that would have to be in place to safely deliver in-person instruction. But we're talking about a hybrid approach that would both encompass small classroom instruction. So, you know, we're talking about classes of fewer than 10 to 15 students, online learning, and critical interventions at grade levels that students will be most likely to fall behind and potentially fall out if they don't have additional support. One of the wonderful components of this proposal is that our CBOs are also offering online and virtual mental health support and enrichment. That's everything from being able to check in and talk about how a student is doing physically, emotionally, to offering physical education, arts, and music online. And so we don't have one formula that we're proposing right now. What we're looking at is a combination of best practices to be able to meet the moment and our students' needs.
So to piggyback off of President Ryan's comments, SCOE currently has a committee of 13, a committee with representation from our Sacramento County schools, 13 school districts, to discuss, you know, the reopening of our schools, what instruction or activities on campuses will look like, what type of hybrid programs work. And, you know, every school has its own unique features, and so we have to make sure that we're sensitive to that. So as we move forward with planning our City of Sacramento's programs, we'll make sure that we connect with all our superintendents and all our representatives from every single school district to see what will work best for the population that we're serving.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. You know, notice we're not calling this summer school. We're calling this a summer enrichment program.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, our kids have been out of school for a long time. We don't just want to pop them back into sitting in rows and being lectured at. We have an opportunity to do social emotional learning. We have an opportunity to do mental health awareness. Mr. Mayor, one of your buckets includes the arts. My hope is that if we fund arts organizations, they can be working in the schools as well. That's a win-win all around. So I think there's a lot we can do for these young people to keep them interested. So many of them have been sitting on Zoom for a long time. We know that's getting old. And so we have to think about how do we be creative and use these platforms to our benefit.
Yeah, we can't ignore the global pandemic that we're going through. We have to make sure that we address these. Sorry, Councilmember Guerra.
And you know, as in a normal course of the year, we would be employing many high school members of our city. And an important factor here is we could actually harness the ability that many of our students that come from disadvantaged communities and many who are bilingual can help us in efforts such as like our census work. We would not have the 88.9 million if we had not updated our count on the census, if we hadn't identified that our city had grown. So I think there is a huge opportunity that our youth can be part of something to improve the lives of people in the community as well. So it's not, I mean, our pools may be closed and that may have been a traditional place for employment for our older youth, but there's still a huge opportunity where that peer-to-peer mentorship, the workforce piece to get them active in some of the very needs that we need. And some of the things that we heard the most was that actually getting information in the language in a digestible format has been a challenge. So that could be a humongous effort for all of us.
Very good. And again, we want to do this under the umbrella, if you will, of the city, because it creates more flexibility. And it's that partnership, right? That we put some real resources on the table, and then we reach out to our school districts, to our community-based organizations, and we're the catalyst, and let the magic happen, because it will happen.
All right, do we have any more folks want to ask questions? No?
Okay.
All right.
Well, tune in live at 5 o'clock today for the city council meeting, and we'll take our first big steps towards making this a very meaningful summer for thousands of our young people. Thank you to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Have a good day.
Bye.